Recording look like it's working?
Yep, we're going.
Says it is.
You got
Okay.
everybody in?
One more is coming in.
Oh, I'll get him.
I guess we can get going.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Welcome, Hammond North. It's February 18th, 6:03 for the regular monthly board meeting. So for the call to order, Randy Vaughn,
Excuse me, here.
Chris Conti,
Here.
Gil Patton,
Here.
Jan Welch,
Here.
Tim Fritz,
Here.
Tracy Smiley.
Here.
Okay, so all 7 members of the board are present. Okay, the first order of business then would be the minutes. Randy.
Okay, I have 3 sets of minutes that were sent out to you folks. Do you want to do those separately or all together?
Are there any
All together.
objections from any of the board members? Any comments on them? I think we can do it all together then.
Okay, these are the minutes of January 22nd, of the owners' meeting on February 5th, and the organizational meeting last week on February 10th. I asked for approval of those 3 sets of minutes.
A second.
Tracy seconds it. Any comments? Okay, all those in favor? All right, it's unanimous. Okay, second order of business be Greg, the building manager's report.
Thank you, John. Good evening, everyone. I have a couple of things to report this evening. The first being a water pipe break outside of the building. It's located at the entrance to the dock area, in between that and the former staff contractor parking area leading to that fire hydrant as you're heading down to the GT entrance. We discovered this on Saturday, January 31st. And we reported it on that same Saturday to the Water Sewer District. But at that time, some of you probably know that the city had, I think, 50 or 60 reports of frozen pipes or pipe breaks that they were responding to. So we were finally able to get a representative out, actually had them out twice. And being that it's private property, they deemed that it's the association's responsibility. So we have since been in contact with a plumbing contractor and have set up a leak detection to see if we can identify the specific source. We believe it's an 8-inch iron ductile pipe, which is a pretty substantial size pipe, and pretty sure that it actually leads to that hydrant as you're going down to the GT. We have not experienced any fluctuation or any pressure reduction in the building. We've been monitoring that. So far that's fortunate. However, that leads kind of to the second part of the report, which is on Friday, this past Friday, the 13th, when I arrived, I found the fire pump in alarm, and the memory disk was low. So bled the line, reset the pump, entered a new disk, and then it returned to normal operations. And as an added precaution, we brought in one of the monitoring techs, the fire monitoring techs, just to verify that the system was functioning as it should. And they did verify that. And since that time, since Friday, anyway, the system seems to be operating normally. So the outside leak does not appear to be affecting that in any way. We thought perhaps because of the leak, it might have allowed some additional air to get in the line, and that affected the pressure of the suppression system, but we can't be for certain. So we'll keep everyone posted on that once we're able to set up. We hope that the inspection for the actual location of the leak will be performed tomorrow, weather permitting, and then we'll have to proceed from there. It's too premature to get any type of quotes or have a feeling for the estimate on the cost at this point. But the fact that we did put the city on notice we're hoping that we'll have some consideration, if that shows up on the utility bill at the end of the month. More to follow as soon as we have some more information to share. And that concludes the report, John, unless there's any questions at this time.
Yeah, Tracy?
So Greg, does the water main leak impact the waters and the access to the building, like incoming into the boiler? Like, is there any downstream impact to that, or something that could, go wrong with not having as much water pressure?
We haven't detected anything at this time, and
Okay.
being that the line primarily feeds we believe, the suppression system and that hydrant outside, we're thinking that right now it's on a separate line, but it probably feeds off the main city line. But the pressure is high enough where it's supplying the boiler as needed, and what little domestic that we're using currently. So far, it does not appear that it's having any negative effect on that.
When we find out the repair costs, just let me know. And then I'm assuming there's going to be an increase to the water bill. If they could split that out to show, like, hey, this was from, they're saying excessive usage, because I'm sure the water is flowing all which way. Just let me know.
We'll do. And then
Okay,
I
thanks.
did ask that question, and they said they should be able to determine pretty easily that particular impact
Okay.
from the leak. So, and then
Okay.
they still owe us from misbilling from previous months, and we're still trying to work on that payment schedule as well.
And we prefer a check versus them crediting the invoices. So
That's
let's just make sure we get that.
That's what we're
Just make sure we get that check. Okay. Thanks, Greg.
that's what we're pushing for. They
Thank
wanted
you.
to do a monthly credit, and I said no.
Okay.
The association would like cash now, please. Thank you. So
Awesome. Thank you.
my pleasure.
Any other questions? Or owners raising their electronic hand? Okay, we'll move on with the agenda then. Tracy, treasurer's report?
Yes. So the treasury report is for the month of January. So the operating account ending the month of January 2026 has a balance of $181,354.67. As of January, the reserve account ending in January 2026 has a balance of $15,596,806.84. This is a decrease from prior month because we did pay the seal bill for the collection of those last insurance funds of approximately $8 million. So that was the last seal bill. We had to pay 7.5% on top of what they recovered. The current total assets ending in January 2026 is approximately $6,844,074.82. The prepays ending January 2026 is approximately $42,000. And then as of February 12th, 2026, the number of delinquent owners is approximately 70, totaling the amount of $779,735. I will say that this came up in a discussion in the finance committee, that the delinquency growth rate did decline. So month over month and previous month, we saw an 8% increase. And the month of December to January and up to February 12th was only a 2% increase. So we are seeing the slow of the delinquency totals and growth due to some owners actually starting some of the payback for the delinquencies that they have on file with us. You will get a copy of the treasurer's report saved out in the minutes, and you'll also see the invoices paid in December and in January.
See,
Thank you,
what was the delinquency number again? I didn't capture it, right? 700 and something?
$779,735.
Okay. Thank you.
Let me just add on this that I looked at the recent delinquency report, and of the payments we received, there were 11 owners who were either had a lien applied to their unit or they were eligible for lien, except they're beginning to make payments. So we received a total of $16,866 from those owners. Two of those owners paid off their complete debt. All right. Any other questions for the treasurer's report from the board? From the owners? Okay. So we'll move on to committee reports. Tracy for the Finance Committee?
Yes, so the Finance Committee met this past Monday. We actually changed the date from Friday to Monday right before the official monthly board meeting. So we have the opportunity to review the financial statements and then, articulate on some of the things that we have questions about. So from that committee, we talked through the financials of the month. We talked about, which Greg alluded to, the $50,000 that the water company owe us, and we're working to recoup those funds. We also talked about, as I mentioned earlier, the seal payment that we made out of the reserve account for the recoup of those landmark funds from the insurance. Outside of that, we are still looking at potentially reducing other costs, and I think Tim's going to talk about towns as well. But all in all, we're operating positively with the delinquencies, some of them being paid up. We are operating at a positive from an HOA fee perspective of approximately $15,000 for the month. And for the full year, approximately $54,000. So things are looking good. We have a positive operating balance, and we hope to continue to maintain that through the sale of the building.
Any questions from the board? Or from the owners? Well, Tracy, I jumped ahead. Do you want to do the invoices now?
Sure, I can do that now. Let me pull them up. Okay. So I want to make a motion to approve invoice 47877 from Finney Law Firm in the amount of $4,928. This invoice is related to the Porter lawsuit.
I second.
Tim seconds it. Any questions from the board? Or from the owners? All right. All those in favor of the motion to pay invoice 47877? All right. I think that's unanimous then. Okay. The next invoice?
I also make a motion to pay invoice 47878 from Finney Law Firm for services during the month of January regarding to the partition action in the amount of $4,638.
Have a second?
Second.
Chris seconds it. Okay. Any discussion? Any
Let me
questions?
Let me just
Yes.
ask this. Tracy, we've had emails going back and forth on the Finney bills. Did you see the last one that I sent you?
I did not. I was in transit driving.
Okay. We could talk about that offline. I just want to make sure that we're clear on what those invoices truly are. So, you've been trying to give me some information on that. I still have some questions and would like to have us contact Finney and get a clear response from them of what we owe, that there is no back balance.
Yes, and I want to be clear that what we are paying is what we owe to the owners. I don't want to imply that we're not paying or we're overpaying Finney. All of the expenses associated with each one of these invoices are documented within the invoice that we vet with Finney, with Greg and myself when we retain the services. So this is just an educational exercise. I don't want it to allude to the fact that we're paying something that we shouldn't. So I'm just going to put that caveat out there. Gil and I, we can connect offline, and then we can walk through the historic nature of how they invoice.
Just to be clear, there's no comment about us paying something that we don't owe. We are paying. We're voting right now to pay for what the invoice says we incurred charges for last month. So there's no issue with
Yes.
that.
Okay, I just want to make that clear and not confusing to the owners. So I make the motion to pay invoice number 47879 to Finney Law
Wait.
Firm.
Oh, we
Wait,
did.
I don't think we voted on.
Oh,
We
I'm
did.
sorry.
That's right. Okay, so any other comments on the
I'm
partition bill?
sorry.
Okay, all those in favor of the partition bill? Okay, that is unanimous as well. Okay, go ahead, Tracy.
Sorry about that. I jumped the gun. I make a motion to pay invoice 47879 to the Finney Law Firm in the amount of $8,406.62 for the Burnham case.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
That's Jan Welch. Any questions from the board or owners?
Do we know whether or not that's going to be reduced this month?
I could speak on that because Tim and Randy and I were in the mediation that happened in the last month. So that bill is much more than we usually pay on the Burnham case. I'm sure it'll be lower.
Yeah. Due to the nature of the situation. Yes.
Yeah, there was some activity that tied people up for an entire day, so.
Right.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you. All right, next invoice.
All right, so I make a motion to pay invoice 47880 to Finney Law Firm in the amount of $4,308.75 for general corporate services.
Is there a second? Tim seconds. Any questions, discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor of paying invoice 47880? Okay, that's all seven, unanimous. Okay, and the last invoice, Tracy?
Yes, I make a motion to pay the 4-Star Mechanical LLC invoice in the amount of $86,480. This invoice represents the winterization of the building. It includes materials, it includes labor, the fan coil installation for 6 floors, 9 through 12, 14 to 16, installation of 14 total units, the hot water line work that they had to perform, as well as some pipes that we had to install from 508 and 808 in those gutted units.
Is there a second? Tim? Tim seconds it. Any discussion? Tim,
I just.
number of questions.
There's been some questions about this invoice floating around on email. Basically what happened is they came in and did this work back in October, maybe November. And then they did submit an invoice and they overcharged us. There was an extra charge in that invoice that Greg caught and I was looking at the same time. So then they had to re-invoice us. That original invoice was somewhere around $93,000 or $94,000.
Yep, 94,000. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they revised this estimate down to whatever the number Tracy just read, 86,000 or 83,000.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we are, and that's where that charge came from. The other thing is, I don't know that it makes a big difference in the end, but this money will come out of insurance funds, not out of operating expense, because this is part of the repair of the building as a result of the fire.
Right.
Good to know.
Jan?
So is
Go
the
ahead.
work done?
Yes.
Yes, the work is done.
There's going to, the other thing I forgot to say is there will be one more invoice from 4-Star because as Greg and Tim were learning how the building was reacting through the winterization process, we talked over the holidays. And when it was 0 degrees every day for a few days there, Greg said, yeah, there is one place in the building that we're having problems keeping warm. So we did have them come back in and install one more unit in order to make sure we didn't have any issues in that part of the building. So there will be one more invoice somewhere like $3,700 probably.
Great.
Randy? Did you have a question?
Well, that was my question. But Tim, has that HVAC unit been installed?
Yes.
Okay.
Did they
Chris?
wind up giving, oh, sorry.
Chris, did you have a question?
Tim covered my question as well as
Okay,
Randy's.
Gil?
So, two questions here. Tim, I assume that Tim, our service guy, went around and made sure that the work done was what we had asked for, just to confirm that it was done, it looked like it was done properly?
Yeah, the intention of putting those units in was to run them. So Greg can speak to that a little bit more closely than I can, but we're running most of those units at certain times, depending on how cold it is outside. We don't run all of them all the time. Greg and Tim survey the building and adjust operating conditions according to what they find.
And Greg, those are running the way they're supposed to?
Yes, they are. Yeah.
And do we have any warranty that comes with that? Does anybody know?
I'll have to look at that. I don't know off the top of my head, Gil.
It might be that if we do, it's something that probably passes on to the buyer.
Well, we should make sure that we try that. Yeah.
I agree. That's all I've got.
Any other questions from the board or from the owners? Okay, seeing no questions, all those in favor of paying the 4-star construction bill, raise your hand. Okay, thank you. All right, then I guess we'll move on. That's all the invoices, right, Tracy?
Yes.
Okay, so next would be committee to sell, PSA, quit claim deeds and escrow. I'll just say, Jan, I saw both their names. I'll just cover the PSA, I assume.
Right.
Okay, so the PSA is progressing. We haven't signed off on it yet, but there are very, let's just say, small differences. But that's one of the major topics to talk about exec committee, legal advice we've had back and forth on signing it, but hopefully we'll have that signed quickly. I don't know before we move on, I don't know if anybody has questions about the PSA from the board or the owners. Randy.
John, when did the last time the PSA went back?
Gil, Randy had his hand up. Can we just go by people
Just
raising their hand?
a real quick, in case we're throwing this term around PSA, that's the contract that we will sign with the buyers to buy the building. So we call it PSA for short, but that's what it is.
Yep. Thanks. Gil, sorry about that.
I'm sorry for not putting the hand up, but I wonder when the last communication was it to them? Was back to the buyer?
And
that was yesterday?
It's in particular about one of the forms that they want today. It was today back and forth about one of the forms that they want in this contract.
Okay.
Sal, Tim.
One of the other things I wanted to throw out there is, I don't know if you guys saw it today. I wrote Jordan a note about could you give us an example of closing costs, because there's been some discussions in our going back and forth with the title company of what the buyer traditionally pays for and what the seller traditionally pays for. And I don't know about you guys, but I know when I get a loan or refinance, you get a sample closing statement that may not be precise, but it's
Yeah.
pretty close to what it's gonna be. So I asked Jordan if he could do that today, and he said he would.
Yeah, if
Thanks
he
for
can
doing
get
that.
me a HUD settlement is what that's called, then I can calculate that and put it into the payout sheet. Right now it's at 8%. And so if it's something different, then I would definitely plug that in.
That was a result of Jan's discussion with Eli this morning. There were some costs that arose in our discussion.
Yeah.
That we have to decide, traditionally the buyer pays it, traditionally the seller pays it.
Hmm.
Or are we gonna do with the tradition? So once we get that, I'll forward it to you, Tracy, and we can
Okay.
take a look.
Thank you.
So Sally, you had your hand up?
Yes, I'm a little bit concerned about why it's taking so long to get the contract signed. I think, has the buyer been doing due diligence in terms of inspections and those kinds of things? Or
There
is
have,
it gonna be,
there,
is that
there,
pending the signing of the contract?
there have been some things that they have come up with that they wanted. There's some things that we have come up with that we wanted. So it's basically a back and forth. There's probably a dozen emails a day back and forth on this thing. So
Okay, and then once the contract is signed, do we have an idea of the time to closing?
It'll be,
Days.
there is an official 45 days of due diligence in the current contract. So although Tim's right that they are inspecting, they are looking at different things, and I think in our situation, especially a building with the fire damage we have and repairs, we have to allow that. The official due diligence starts when the contract PSA is signed. It is currently 45 days. When that period ends, then there's 30 days to close it. So it's a total of 75 days from the date that the contract is signed until closing.
Okay, thank you. That will help me know what plan I have to put in place for myself.
And there are a lot of plans that Jan will get to.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for owners about the PSA? Okay, then Jan, you want to go over the your committee and the quitclaim deeds?
Sure. Thank you. We have a fleet of floor reps ready to go. They're eager. We have our first meeting tomorrow. Janet Schoenbachler has volunteered to chair that part of the effort. There are a lot more pieces to this than meet the eye, but Janet's going to chair that, and they get started tomorrow. And we did get a number of questions answered today. I'm going to give you a few highlights. So people will be signing two documents essentially. One is the quitclaim deed, and the other is the escrow plan. The escrow plan is what your insurance is, that your deed is being handled appropriately. So just so you know, there will be two things you'll need to sign. And Finney will develop those. You don't have to go find a deed. They will develop those and get those to each person. That can happen a lot of different ways, and so I'm not going to go into that right now, but just, they're going to create that and they'll provide it for you. There will be, you will be able to fill it out or to complete it either electronically, including the notary, it's called e-notary, or you can do it completely by hand. And there's some shades of gray, you can kind of have a hybrid method. Both those methods, the way it's been described to us today, Tim and Chris, feel free to chime in here, are really pretty easy. If you're doing it by hand, you have the deed and the escrow document, the escrow agreement. You sign the escrow agreement, you sign the deed in front of a notary, and you turn those in. You can take them to Finney's office or you can mail them in. If you're doing it electronically, you'll need an appointment. And it's not like DocuSign. I think a lot of us immediately thought of that when we thought of electronic signing, but it's really different. What it will be getting an appointment with somebody at Ivy, and they will be on the line, and they will have the e-notary on the line as well. They'll ask you a few questions to make sure you're who you say you are, and they'll send you a link, and it'll be sort of like the Zoom or FaceTime, whatever. It has to be an audio or visual link. So they'll have that, and you just have to have the capability, I think, that you're using now. And then you can complete it electronically. At no time does the board or staff receive or touch or see the deeds. At no time at all. They're going to go directly to Ivy. So also, I have been trying to pull together these processes and get a lot of these questions answered. A lot of people have been helping, including Tim, John, and Chris Conti. Chris Conti has agreed to take over the leadership of that part, effective tomorrow. As soon as I'm done documenting today. I'll still be involved, but there's so much to communicate to so many people. I really appreciate his doing that. We got a lot of answers today, and there'll be more questions. You know, with every answer, there's a few questions. Let's see. Title issues will be, we'll have a little bit of different advice for those folks, because if a person has a title issue, the process will be a little bit different. And I think they've really described it well, and they're providing, they have a lot of support available. If you have a question, you can just call their office. I mean, they've even agreed to, if you would like them to, and you're not in Florida or somewhere, if you're local, they will bring the deed to you, a notary will, and you can sign it then. So we're working to make this as easy as possible. Questions or comments, Tim or Chris or John or anybody?
Anybody from the board?
That's the only thing that I want to throw in there, Jan, so that we don't increase people's expectations, is they will send a notary to you, and they will let you do an electronic signing, but there will be a cost affiliated with each one of those. So the least expensive way for this to happen will be for you to go to your bank and have it notarized, and either hand carry it or take it over to, either hand carry it or mail it over to Finney. That will save us quite a bit of money, because 180, it could be 180 times 150, or it could be 180 times 225. So that's what I'm hoping that the people who are local are going to be able to take care of this manually.
So we need to discuss all those costs. Yeah. Go ahead.
Tracy?
That was something that we talked about during the finance committee as well. I forgot to mention is we are working to accumulate all the costs associated with a few things. So we're gonna need to reach out to you on what those associated costs will be for the electronic signature, as well as the HUD statement that Tim mentioned, and any other expenses related to the sale, so that we can pull that together and get a better picture of what the payout will be.
And I put that as a list. I think it's
Okay.
on the last page. There's a lot of information there. So, but when, you know, and I just got it out late this afternoon, but
Okay.
we asked
Perfect.
a lot of those questions today.
Thank you.
Randy?
Yeah, there's a chat question. What about if we have a mortgage that needs to be paid off?
So getting into the weeds a little bit, but they can help with that too, just help you figuring out how to do it. There's something called, I don't know if I have all this right in front of me, but there's something called a payoff notice, I think it is. And so people,
Formal payoff notice.
thank
Yes.
you, thank you. Do you want to describe that, Tim?
Yeah, basically, like Jan said, we're getting a little bit into the weeds now, and we're starting to address individual personal issues. But what came up is that she said that there will be 2 documents that you have to sign. There's a possibility that there will be a third, and it has to do with your mortgage payoff. So people who have a mortgage that can't pay their mortgage off prior to the closing will probably have a third document to sign regarding the mortgage.
And it's, I think when he really described it, it's easier than it sounds. There are people with mortgages who can pay them off or who are planning to do that by virtue of their proceeds. And there are people who can't. So, you know, the people who have been able to keep up with this will get a payoff, a formal payoff notice like Tim mentioned. And all that is, you don't have to pay it off then. It just states how much you still owe. And then the Ivy Point will have that information for doing all of its calculations for payouts in the end.
Yeah, they have to have that information for the final transfer.
And I think I saw in some of the questions to Ivy that if you can pay your mortgage off now, that's one thing. That's great. However, don't try to pay it off when it gets close to closing,
Right.
because then there'll be a delay, and when everybody will know what the payoff is, getting the amount, and that could be difficult.
Right.
Yeah, they said leave a lot of room if you do intend to pay it off as early as you can, because it could get mucked up if you paid it off like the last day.
Yeah, because it takes a while for all that paperwork to get processed. Randy?
Randy?
Yeah, there's a chat question. This might be premature, but maybe you can give a general answer. When will the 2 documents that they need to sign, when will those be mailed to us? And about when are they going to be sent?
Okay, so you'll have
Or
the
will they
option.
be mailed, and when will that be?
You'll have the option. If you want to get it mailed to you, you can get it mailed. So we'll have to compile a list of people who want it mailed, people who want it emailed, or people who want to do it electronically. And they'll do whichever of those you want. But they will be creating the deed and initiating that.
And Jay and I assume that's going to be part of what we talk about tomorrow in the quitclaim deeds, the process that we go through, because that's one of the questions that we're going to have to ask people is how do you want to receive your deed?
Well, tomorrow is, even though it was called quitclaim deed committee, it's really the floor reps. So, but you're right, that would be discussed in the quitclaim deed committee, and that'll be soon. I mean, I haven't scheduled that because we were just getting all these answers, but that'll be.
And the other part of the question was about when are they going to be sent? They can't be prepared until we have the PSA, and they can't be prepared until they have done their title search, because that's part of what they uncover in the title search is legal descriptions of the property, whether there's a mortgage or a lien involved, and all that kind of stuff. So, so those 2 things have to happen. What he told us is that he thinks for 180 units, it's going to take between 10 and 14 working days to prepare those.
Right.
But he said we won't have to wait till the 14th day for all of them. He can dribble them over as they get them done. He can send them over a few at a time so that we can get started on.
And if you're planning a long trip, or if there's for some reason you're not going to be available for more than a few weeks, you could go ahead and let us know, because we would put getting your deed at the early on, because you know, if it's too late, then you could miss it, and you know, that would be ugly.
He said basically he'd go in any order that we wanted him to go in. If we had some high priority people who were getting ready to leave the country, he would get those done first.
Right.
Any other questions? Questions from owners?
And I just want to say in summary that both the floor reps and the quitclaim deed committee, such hard workers and so much enthusiasm. It's just, it's the whole thing's awful, but having people like this to work with is wonderful.
Well, thank you, Jan. Okay, the next item on the agenda is Randy, a summary of the legal situation on our 3 cases.
There's a chat question. It was probably put in a little bit late, but it relates to Treasury, if we can go back to that for a minute.
Sure.
But the question is, we need statements for all association monies in a bank, S&L, credit union, etc. We need that uploaded to the website for the last 24 months for everybody to see.
Hey, Randy, there is a question in there about the legal cases related to the higher Burnham
I'll answer.
invoice, but that
I
other
told them.
one, okay, that other one is related to the payout that someone's asking for statements.
Okay. But those are in the office, these financial statements, right? And people can
Yes.
email Greg or us and the board and get those. Am I correct on that?
That's correct.
Okay, so that would be your answer. Just email the board, email Greg, and we can, it used to be you had to go down to the office to see that, but since that's kind of impossible, we do email those now, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know how.
Okay, so the legal report, the Burnham case, the way it sits now, to review that quickly, the issue now is between the association and the insurance companies who have also sued for reclaiming of their funds. There was a $500 payoff by the insurance company for Burnham. That was the maximum of that policy. We were in mediation with the other insurance companies a couple of weeks ago. That is the answer to the question, why is the Burnham bill so high with our attorneys? We spent 5 or 6 hours, I can't recall right now, with our attorney right there with us in the mediation. And that, of course, that runs up the bill.
Randy, can you pause a second? Gil, did you have a question?
Yeah, I believe Randy said 500. Are we talking 500,000?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I just didn't want anybody to be confused. We're
Good
talking about
catch.
$500,000 here.
Yeah, I don't think we'd fight so much over 500, but anyway, yeah, 500,000 was is the amount of money. We're arguing with, or negotiating, I suppose we should say, with 3 insurance companies. They have agreed to allow us to have 100,000 of the 500,000.
Randy.
We are still attempting to get a little bit more. And so we have sent a counteroffer, and that rests with the insurance companies at this time. That's kind of where the Burnham case sits right now. We okay with that?
Any questions on Burnham before we move ahead? Okay.
Okay, with Croskery, long-running lawsuit, been around for quite a few years, actually. We feel we are really, really close to a settlement. We think we have agreed in principle with the Croskery plaintiffs, and we hope to have some good news on that shortly. Yeah, I don't want to jinx it, but yeah, we think that we're about to get some resolution to that case. Porter, any questions on Crossgreen? Okay, Porter is a much more involved issue. I think that many of the owners, most of the owners, received an email from the Porter plaintiffs with an attached letter from the lawyers in the Porter suit. I got to see that letter, both of those letters, and there are some statements that I would like to address in those. One statement said that the plaintiffs say, "We have always worked for a mediated settlement." If I can say that, that's kind of confusing. We sat in all day in a mediation session with the Porter plaintiffs. Well, yeah, okay, I'll say it that way. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, we initiated the mediation by submitting a settlement offer, and that settlement offer was never replied to. As a matter of fact, we found out that they had left the mediation session before they got our offer. This was all on Zoom, so it was we weren't right there with them. And as a matter of fact, as you can tell from the lawyer's letter that was attached to the email, they have not moved off of their $2 million demand. They still want the $2 million from the CNA insurance company that insures the board. There was some question in there. We were advised by the plaintiffs of the Porter suit that we should hire a lawyer, an independent lawyer, to interpret the policy that we have with our insurance company, CNA. It's a little ironic. They have asked us or told us that they don't want us to spend any money on this, that they want the insurance company to pay for all of this, but yet they want us to hire an independent lawyer to look at the insurance document. We do have the Finney firm that is under not contract, but that are our own lawyers, and they are monitoring this case. But yes, that costs us money, as you just saw in the treasurer's report. What was that, Tracy? About $4,000 or something?
Yes.
$4,900 was spent just in the last invoice. In the letter from the plaintiffs, it also says they are in doubt as to whether we are passing on any offers from them, if we're passing that on to the insurance company. Well, in the negotiation session that I referred to from a few weeks ago, the claims representative from the insurance company, Paul Tiergartner, was sitting there in the room with us. As a matter of fact, he's the one that fabricated or put the offer together, our settlement offer that we put forth. So yes, the insurance company is well involved in this, completely involved. And as a matter of fact, we have a meeting tomorrow morning with Paul from the insurance company to discuss this exact issue. So that supposition by the plaintiffs was erroneous. The lawyer's letter that was attached to that email laid out the plaintiff's case. Rather than comment on all of that, because that sort of gets into the confidentiality of things, even though they published it, the alarming part of that came at the end. if you read that letter to its end, you'll notice that at the end of that letter, they laid out their settlement offer. And at the end of that settlement offer is the statement that if a settlement is reached and approved by the court, then the plaintiffs will agree to sell their units. As you've just heard, we have, once this PSA is signed, which we think will happen very soon, this contract with the buyers, we have 2 weeks to get them all of the consent forms. We don't have the time to wait to settle this case, go to the court, and have the court approve the settlement. So that's really disturbing, to say the least. So that's my report on the order situation.
Any comments from the board members?
There's a chat question that says, would you please announce the names of the people, the plaintiffs? That's public knowledge.
The people who are the plaintiffs?
Yeah.
Well, that's public
Yeah, that's public domain.
record, so I guess we can do that. It's somebody, you guys are going to have to help me. I never get all 5 right. It's Diana Porter. Is it Joan Berry, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who else, guys? Help me out.
Leonard Webb.
Bill Frankenstein, right? And who's
Kate Bennett.
Kate Bennett, right? And
Leonard Webb.
Leonard Webb, yeah. And that's it at the time, I think, right? Yeah.
I think Audrey Wood was on the original complaint.
Yeah, she has passed away.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've tried to stay confidential on all of this, but since they brought it into the open, I apologize, but I just didn't feel it was right to let their letter go without addressing some of the erroneous or some of the statements in it.
Sally, you had a question?
I never received this email.
Well, good.
So I'd be happy to look at it, however. Is there any way I can get it? Why wasn't it sent to everyone?
We didn't send it. We didn't send it. The plaintiff.
We didn't send it.
I understand, but we're all in the same sinking boat.
Yeah, they had told us that they would publish the letter and send it, and that's what they did. And
I don't do Facebook, so if they put it on their little Facebook thing, it's not something to do.
It was apparently through email, and I
never got it.
Okay.
Is anyone else? Is everybody who's on this meeting? Did you all get an email with this letter from their attorney? And
I'm seeing a lot of heads shaking. Maybe I didn't need to say all this.
I think the only advice we can give you, Sally, is to talk to the people you know and see whether they would share a copy with you.
All right.
I mean, hopefully we can answer these questions, resolve it. But if Sally, can we move on, or do you have another question?
No, I'm a little concerned about what's going to happen with this suit and the sale of the building.
Well, I think we're still hopeful that those last parts of their settlement about agreeing to sell the building, we're still hoping that we can maybe detach that from their settlement and get them to agree to sign the consent form. As we've said a gazillion times, it's in everybody's interest to sell the building. There's nobody that's going to be better off if we don't sell the building.
This is the best we're going to be able to do. This is it.
Right. If they don't sign.
Nobody's beating down the door. And I don't understand why theirs has to be settled before the sale of the building. That's the part I don't understand.
But as far as we understand,
We know they're gonna end up being creditors in one way or another. Okay? That's what's gonna happen. We're all gonna pay for whatever it is that they finally come to an agreement on.
Mhm.
But it shouldn't interfere with the sale of the building. I don't understand their failure. They're not signing, they're signing the quitclaim deed is not going to interfere with that.
But they,
Separate
Sally,
issues.
Sally,
Yes,
they can extricate that piece of it. We don't have to settle the entire lawsuit with them in order to continue with that. And we're still hopeful, John said that, or Randy, we're still hopeful that that can occur. And we're told by some people close to the situation that it will occur. So we're
Okay.
proceeding.
all right. I'm not criticizing the board. I'm not
No, I know,
criticizing
but I
anybody,
just
but
want to tell you where.
some of
where it
us
is.
have plans that we have to make, and it's kind of like I need to know what I need to do next, but that's fine.
John,
I will do
John,
my thing.
I'd like to move on, yeah. So, and Michelle, can we unmute Michelle?
yeah, John, though, in answering Sally's question, can I mention what we talked about with the buyers?
No,
I don't think we should get into it.
Okay, but Sally, we are really actively working on a way around this issue or through this issue. So I hope it's not as dire as that letter that I quoted puts it.
Okay, Michelle?
Thank you. I want to echo what Sally said. This is a very disturbing thing. It appears as if it isn't sufficient that the suffering of all of our neighbors and the suffering of our community is enough to sway these 5 people, which is heartbreaking. If they drive us past the point of being able to sell this and move us to partition because they will not settle, is this board prepared to aggressively go after them and put liens on their houses and sue them individually to recoup the money that we've all lost because of the actions they're taking and continue to take? That's one question I have. And the other thing is that we should know as soon as possible what they're going to extort from us as their neighbors, because insurance is not going to pay for this. We have to stop pretending it's going to. Everybody in this building is going to be on the hook to pay them off. So give us the number. So pay them off and let's just get the hell out of this mess. If they're willing to drive us all to this point of despair and indifference, then pay them off and get this damn thing done, because we cannot continue to go on like this. This is torture, for God's sake. Thank you. And will the board please answer my question? If they drive us to partition, will you go after them, put liens on their houses, and personally sue them to recoup the losses? Because I see that as your fiduciary duty. Thank you.
I would just say that's not an option that the board at this point has discussed. I don't think we want to get into potentially what could happen.
I
David,
understand that, John, but I need to be assured, because if we're getting boxed in, and at the end of the day, I mean, at the very least, would you actually let them get equal amount of money for their unit as everybody else after what they're putting us all through?
I would just say that I'm putting all my efforts, as I think the board is, and I think the committees are, to get the appropriate signatures, quitclaim deeds, and forms filled out and signed so this contract can go through. That's where
I
our
agree
efforts
with
are.
that, but
Thank you for your-
I appreciate it.
Sorry, David?
Uh, First of all, forgive my ignorance. I'm not in on a lot of these details, but my question is, why does the Court of Appeals think this case has merit and the insurance company doesn't want to pay?
I'm not sure what you mean by Court of Appeals. The Court of Appeals is not involved right now.
Okay.
If I can
Well-
answer that, the
Okay,
Court of
Randy?
Appeals, the Court of Appeals didn't rule on, what do I want to say, the merits of the evidence in the case. they ruled on what the original judge, on his action in the trial that happened a year and a half ago in September.
Yeah.
They didn't, I don't believe they made any statement about, oh yeah, you know, the plaintiffs have a great case here. There were just aspects of the case, of the original complaint, that Judge Nestor did not rule on. And that's why the Court of Appeals sent it back for trial.
Okay.
So I hope that answers that question. Yeah. So it's not
But if it
been.
was a frivolous suit, they wouldn't have done that. They just would have dropped it. And
But what
why
Randy's
doesn't
trying,
the insurance company want to pay?
what Randy's trying to say, David, is that there were some procedural issues with how Judge Nestor handled the case. And
Right.
that's why it was appealed, was because there was a feeling that he didn't specifically and strictly follow the procedures that he should have followed.
Right. Okay.
Nothing to do with merit.
His ruling dealt with, as Tim said, procedural rulings. He did say that the original plan to rebuild the building, or to remedy the fire of the building and all that, he said that seemed to be a good plan. But he didn't rule, part of the lawsuit had to do with breach of fiduciary duty. He didn't rule on that at all. And that's what one of the issues that this appeals court sent it back. And of course, it's the breach of fiduciary duty that concerns the insurance company. And that has not been decided in any court yet.
David, do you have a follow-up?
Just still wondering why doesn't the insurance company want to pay this?
There's a letter which I believe is posted on our website where they say that they will pay for the defense, the legal costs, and that's why they hired a Remington law firm, but they will not pay damages. And that's
Oh.
something, as Randy mentioned earlier, that's up in the air, and we're getting advice on that as to how to treat that letter. But that's where we're at this point.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Randy, can you unmute Kate?
I've asked her to. Can you unmute, Kate?
Oh,
There we go.
yes, thank you. Could you, Jan, could you give us an update on the consent forms?
Sure. There's still
Thank you.
5 who have not signed. There has been substantial movement by 3, and we're quite hopeful. Of course, you know, until you get the forms, you don't have the forms. But it's been really promising. There are 2 that are more difficult.
Do you have a follow-up question, Kate?
No, I don't. Thank you, Jan.
All right, are there any other questions? All right, the next item I have on the agenda is building and grounds. I'm not sure who's going to give that report.
Well, I was the last chairman or chairperson. We're not meeting. Greg gives the building reports, and we haven't met for months. It's just, it's all caught up in, you know, it was the rebuild, and now, you know, trying to sell it without having anything else fall apart. But, you know.
Okay, thanks, Jen. On the new business, Tim, can I ask you to chair the meeting? I have a motion to make.
Yeah, okay. Are there any motions that we should consider in new business?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion about our regular meetings. I move that beginning after this month, the regularly scheduled monthly board meeting be held on the 4th Wednesday of the month, and that there be a meeting every Wednesday as needed.
I'll second. Oh, maybe Randy is.
Randy seconds.
Oh, I did? Okay.
Any discussion by the board? Okay, all those in favor of John's motion to change the meeting times? Jan, is that an abstention?
Oh, no, I was reading it.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
So that was unanimous? All right, John, I'll turn it back over to
Okay,
you.
thank you. Then on old business, Tim, you want to update us on the town property contract?
Oh, yeah, we, as we discussed at the owners meeting, the town property contract had to be considered 90 days prior to the termination of the contract. So over the last week, with Gil's help and our attorney's help, we developed what I termed to be a termination letter, but what it ended up being was our attorney recommended that we call it a non-renewal of contract. So that was emailed to them today, to Greg's boss, and he has already confirmed. One of the things that we asked for in there was, we're not going to renew the annual contract, but we want to work with you on a month-to-month contract, because we still need you to help us take care of the building until the final sale, hopefully 3 months or so. So he has already responded that he's willing to sit down with us and talk about how to handle this situation. So that's where we are with town properties.
Thank you, Tim. Any questions from the board about that town property contract or the owners? All right, well, that was the last item that I think I had on the agenda. Any other announcements? So Andrea, can we unmute Andrea? Yes, Andrea. Hello?
She is
Maybe-
unmuted.
Maybe she accidentally raised her hand. All right, any other points that the board, any member of the board wants to raise? We have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Wait a minute, wait a
Okay.
minute.
Wait, hold on 1 second. Hold on
Andrea's
1
back
second.
in.
Oh,
What?
what was
Okay,
that?
I'm not sure what's going on there.
Was she
Andrea
put on
just
the-
put something in the chat.
Andrea put something in the chat. I'll take this one. So Andrea's asking if the HOA fees will be reduced. We have looked at that, Andrea, and I mentioned, I believe in the last board meeting, that that's something we're looking at. We're putting together a proposal to get that over, to see what we can do. The caveat to that is, if heavens forbid, if the sale doesn't go through, how will we continue to operate the building at that reduced amount? So we're really doing our due diligence and seeing what's possible, but we'll definitely get back with you.
All right, and I think there was a motion to adjourn. Or
Motion to-
what? Yep, Tim, is there a second? All right, Tracy, all those in favor? Okay, thank you, Hammond North.
John, get this
I'll-
chat.
I will try.
All right, for Randy,